You still can't see me, right?
Nope, no.
We can see you, son. We can see
Yes.
you now.
Sorry, I had to restart my system just on time, I guess. Someone is on mute, I think.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. You're welcome to CSCS. For those of you that don't know, CSCS is Central Securities Clearing System, Nigeria's CSD and premier financial market infrastructure for capital markets. So you recognize that as a critical infrastructure, where we keep a lot of data, cybersecurity is very important to us. And to this end, we organize conferences, webinars to keep us abreast. You know that if you have the best, latest state-of-the-art security tools, but your people are not educated, that's just a waste. This year's theme is Secure Our World. So the team just kind of emphasizes our everyday habits on how to reduce cyber risk. You don't have to be a core techie person. Just practice 4 simple principles. Well, there may be more than 4, but if you just practice this 4, we're well on our way to securing our world. Firstly, simple things like strong passwords. Create unique complex passwords. That will help. Using something like a multi-factor authentication, so just going beyond your password, add maybe an extra layer like a token, your fingerprints, that can work. Things like keeping your devices up to date. Most of us have this state-of-the-art or high-end phones, and we don't even have antivirus on them. So things like that, keep your patches up to date. And then lastly, recognizing phishing attempts. You have to be cautious of suspicious mail. Don't be too in a hurry to inherit $1 million from a dead relative. Any mail you are suspicious of, let's just be wary of them. So these are the kind of things you will hear in our presentations today. We have a lineup of amazing speakers. And before we delve right in, just a few housekeeping tips. We have a Q&A session. Just type in your comments. This webinar is being streamed live on YouTube. That's CSCS Nigeria. So you can always go back and watch a replay after this. At the end of this session, we're going to have an opinion poll, a quiz. So stick to the end and win fantastic prizes. There's more than one winner, so you want to stay to the end. And then lastly, we'll be sending you a feedback poll. Don't miss this poll. This poll will help us to get better because we do this periodically. Let us have your feedback. Let's know what to improve on. Thank you for that. So to start off this webinar, we have an opening address by our MD CEO, Haruna Jalu Waziri. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for being part of this important webinar. We normally have these sessions, like Isuma said, every year. And it's always been physical except for the COVID years. But after last year's historic, if you like, session, we decided to, okay, let's rotate it till next year for the physical one. And I want to thank everyone who is here and who has been part of this, if you like, journey. So I don't have much to say. I typically I'll always allow the panelists to actually delve into it, but just a bit of history of where we're here. So when we started this journey around understanding that we wanted to do cybersecurity awareness and also thought leadership, what came to us was that being a market infrastructure, it was important that, you know, that we communicate to the market around the sensitivities of what we do, and that as we interconnect to everyone, it was important that they also protect themselves, because like they always say, you're as weak as your weakest link. With that understanding, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I'm delighted to see colleagues and partners joining us today as we reflect on a topic that is both timely and vital, which is secure our world. And I like the background that we have today. Isioma and team, well done. The theme is more than a slogan, to be honest. It's a global call to action and a reminder that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility, like Isioma and I had said earlier. And every one of us, whether as individuals, teams, or organizations, play a part in keeping our digital world safe. We have to do that. The truth is that our world is only as secure as the actions that we take every day. And I think Isioma also mentioned that earlier. And I'm sure a lot of panelists will also talk about it. Daniel is here representing NGSAT, which is an important aspect of how this is being reported. I'm sure from what he's going to say will also be there. John Hamlet is also there. And of course, our Idia and Olaimi, all of those people are going to be part of what we're going to discuss today. But at CSCS, we see cybersecurity not just as a technology issue, because most people think cybersecurity is a technology issue. It ain't. But as a business imperative and a shared value, it's embedded in how we work, how we think, and how we make decisions. Because each of the things that you do also affects how cybersecurity is done. Each time we choose to think before clicking a link, lock our devices, or update our passwords, we contribute to strengthening our collective security posture. Because the world, as you know, is interconnected. As leaders, we also recognize that security starts at the top, and which is why we have all of our management team here today. Our management team remains committed to modeling good cybersecurity habits and behavior, not just through policies, because policies are what you use to guide us, but through practice on a daily basis. We continue to invest in awareness programs like this today and tools that empower everyone across CSCS to make secure decisions confidently. So as we begin today's session, I encourage you to listen actively, engage thoughtfully through the Q&A, if you like, forum, and most importantly, take away at least one actionable insight that you can apply in your organization or at home. Together, let's continue to build an organization and a world where security is everyone's business. Why is that important? Criminals collaborate, we don't. We have to do it better. Thank you, everyone, and welcome once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's delve right in. Our first speaker is Onyinye Daniel Onyekweze. Mr. Daniel is a dedicated cybersecurity professional with over a decade of expertise in information security, threat management, incident response. He's a certified computer hacking forensic investigator and a security incident management model, maturity model 3 certified auditor. Currently, he's the head of incident handling department at Nigerian Computer Emergency Response Team, that's the NGCET, and that's under the Cybersecurity Coordination Center, NCC, one of our sponsors of this webinar, and he's domiciled in the Office of the National Security Advisor. So Mr. Daniel is here he has proven commitments in developing and executing strategies for threat management, incident response. You can agree with me that where he sits as a nation, he has more insight than we have. Most of us don't know what we do at the NGCET. They are the coordination, they coordinate cybersecurity for the whole of the country. So I'm sure that you're going to get some insights from Mr. Daniel. So Mr. Daniel, thanks for coming. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. Please confirm you can see my slide. Let me share my slides quickly.
Okay.
Okay, can you see?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My topic this morning is we are looking at the human firewall, empowering people to be the first line of defense, which is very, very critical. As I've been introduced, my name is Daniel Onyinye Onyekweze. Currently the head incident handling department of the Nigeria Computer Emergency Response Team. which is under the National Cybersecurity Coordination Center, currently domiciled within the Office of the National Security Advisor. So as a way of introduction, someone said, Stephen Napo, he said it takes 20 years to build a reputation and a few minutes of cyber incidents to ruin it. So no matter the reputation you have, you have built over the years, a single cyber incident can ruin that reputation, and you don't want to be in that kind of situation. And so that is why this topic is timely. Building a human firewall is critical in ensuring the safety of our cyberspace. So let's look at some of the global statistics. 85% of data breaches involve human elements. You know, a whole 85%, you know, which involves, you know, these social engineering, misuse of privileges, and then, of course, human errors. And 95% of cybersecurity issues have some human element in it. These are the statistics we have, and 43% of all cybersecurity breaches are because of insider threats. This insider threat can be malicious insider threats, and then insider threats that occur as a result of unintentional actions or accidental actions that are taken by staffs. And then around 88% of all organizational data breaches are caused by employee mistakes. So it can be just a genuine act of somebody who is doing his job, but in the long run, there's a mistake that tends to expose the organization to cyber attacks. And then, to round up with these global statistics, the global average cost of a data breach is about $4.44 million, according to IBM 2025 report. So with all this, so now let's dive into the concept of human firewall. Why is it important? Cybersecurity today is no longer just a technology issue. It's no longer just, let's leave it for the technical people. It's a responsibility of every one of us, because humans remain the most targeted layer. For an organization to be attacked, you know, human being must take an action. If I send a malware, an action needs to be taken. If there is a phishing link that is sent to you, somebody needs to do something, you know, to trigger, you know, to trigger the attack. So humans remain the most targeted layer, because that is the attack, the mostly used attack vector to get into an organization. And attackers understand that employees are this weakest link, and that is why they try to exploit their lack of training and lack of awareness. So we need to be vigilant, and we need to have an informed workforce that can prevent most of these breaches. So we need to educate employees. It's not a one-time approach, but it's something that has to be continuous. So now, what is human firewall? What is it? It is trained employees, you know, that are able to recognize and respond to cyber threats, and which can add to the layer of security we have in our organizations. So if an employee is well trained, and they are able to recognize that this is a threat. I shouldn't click on any link. I shouldn't respond to any email that I don't know where it's coming from, and I don't trust the sender. And then they are able to identify this threat and report accordingly. It's not just for you to recognize it and then keep quiet, but you should be able to recognize and then know where to report it within the organization. And of course, if there is need to escalate to the NGSAT or your sectorial SAT, then it's very, very important that our employees understand all these things, because the more aware they are, the more we are adding, to the security of our organization and the whole cyberspace in general. And another definition of human firewall, we can say, is a collective behavior for all employees that follow cybersecurity best practices, to protect digital and physical assets. Because cybersecurity now is not just for us to protect our network, our infrastructures, our systems, but we are also talking about our physical assets. Because somebody can come into your organizations physically to drop malicious USBs and every other things, or to get an employee to enter into your organization and do some nefarious activities. So the collective behavior of our employees to follow these cybersecurity best practices will also go a long way. These are the human firewall we are talking about. And then we can also say that human firewall is us, targeting the weakest link within our system, by providing them with adequate and extensive education, taking them through some, simulations, to understand what they need to do in the case of before, taking proactive steps, and also when there's an incident, what do they need to do, so that there will not be fear or panic or wrong decisions along the line. And then we must take them through relevant training, for them to be well equipped to be able to stand as the human firewall that we want them to be. But this is what human firewall is not. Human firewall is not a single employee or an evangelist. That one person within the organization, is always referred to when there's a cybersecurity issue, to say, okay, go and meet John in IT department. That is not a human firewall. A single employee cannot form a human firewall. It has to be a whole of organizational awareness. And the human firewall is not limited to the IT team taking responsibility. Every other thing will refer to the IT team. So it's everybody, every staff, even getting to the cleaners and the security men at the gate. They all form as part of the human firewall we are talking about. And so it's not a one-time process, it's a continuous process, because cyber attack, and the techniques, the tactics, and the procedures changes. And so we have to keep upgrading and keep updating ourselves as, our operation advances. And then why are we talking about this human firewall? We are so much dependent on the physical firewall and antivirus, but these things cannot stop human deception. Human deception cannot be stopped by an antivirus you install on your system. Your firewall you install on your network cannot stop human deception. And then social engineering exploit this human behavior. They don't exploit the system. They don't exploit the code. They try to manipulate, human being, staffs, our employees, to take certain action to be able to conduct their nefarious activities. And so most breaches start with human error. And those human errors are what causes most of these cyber security incidents within our organizations. And so what are some of the common threats that target people? Social engineering, where people are deceived to take certain actions to reveal sensitive information. And then phishing emails, you receive a link, from sources that you are not familiar with, and you interact with them. And then spear phishing, some kind of, it's an advanced form of phishing attack that is targeted at a specific individual or a specific organization that is well crafted, to pretend as if it's coming from a legitimate source. And then we talk about weak password and password reuse, of which many of us are victim of it. And then business email compromise, exploiting an organizational email and then pretend to be as if it's coming from a CEO of that organization or from a legitimate vendor. And then we, of course, a malware attack, whereby unsuspecting staff, click on malicious software to trigger it, within their infrastructure unknowingly. So how can employees act as defenders quickly? We need to report suspicious email immediately. Report it as fast as possible. Don't just keep it to yourself. Don't just delete it, because it can happen again, or somebody else in another department might decide to interact with it. Once you have it on your system, you need to report it to your IT department or to the appropriate authority so that they can take action or educate the people before somebody will interact with it. And then, of course, as we have mentioned before, multi-factor authentication is no longer an option. It's something that we must use across all our online accounts, as well as our network infrastructures. And of course, we must practice secure password management, avoid using weak password, ensure you have a strong password that meets global standards, and then participate in phishing simulation and training, which has to be continuous if you want to act as a human shield. And then taking personal responsibility and escalate any policy violation. If you see and observe that, staff is violating the policy that is set by an organization to protect the organization, be the first to report or escalate such policy, violations. Don't just, keep it to yourself. Don't just overlook it because it does not concern you. So take personal responsibility. Ensure the principle of need to know. Don't reveal organizational information to external people or discuss work issues outside, because you don't know who you are giving out the information. Don't trust organizational information to your friends that are not part of the organization. So as you do this and many other things, you can act as a defender within your organizations. And so we must continue to create awareness. These are some of the core traits of human firewall we are talking about. Awareness must be consistent. We must be cautious of interacting with emails, links that are coming from unfamiliar sources, and we must keep vigilance. Look out for these things and report them accordingly, and we must be very professional in whatever thing we are doing. And then, of course, continuous training is very, very important. And so I've also highlighted, some of the differences because of time. In terms of securing your digital and physical assets, digital assets, you must implement some kind of principles to always lock devices, always use these MFAs, always encrypt data. And in terms of physical security, we must look out for tailgating. Watch out for the next person behind you, and then secure official document. Verify visitors before you give out sensitive information, because a true human firewall protects not just the workspace, but also protect the entire cyberspace. So these are, to round up, these are some of the recommended actions, which will continue to, some of us know these things, but we don't always practice them. Report suspicious email, use MFA, use strong password, update your password regularly. Staff should be well trained, and education should be continuous for us to know the current trends so that we can adapt accordingly, because every click matters and every report strengthens the wall. So the more you report, the more you are strengthening the wall that we are building as human shield. And then finally, human shield complements, and it does not replace the technology. So let's not misunderstand this. Human shield complement the technology that we put in place. So it cannot generally replace the firewalls. It cannot replace the anti-malware we are implementing. So it cannot replace those technology. And then continuous education will help us to build resilience. And every employee should understand that they are a sensor and a defender. And then lastly, technology defend system, but people defend everything else. Thank you very much for this time.
Thank you so much. Wow. That was very interesting. Thank you. Just imagine how you started. 20 years to build a reputation and just a few minutes to ruin everything. Wow. Thank you for that. Yeah, and yeah, we got some points that you said. Those statistics you gave, wow, 85% really of data breaches, they are human related. Okay, so everyone listening, please put your comments. If you have any questions, please put in the Q&A. We'll get to it after the presentations. So let's dive into the next speaker. The next speaker is going to be Akinpelu Zachariah. He's going to be talking about cybersecurity in a hyper-connected world, protecting what matters most. So Zachariah is a seasoned global, multiple award-winning cybersecurity executive with wealth of experience, information security engineering, information security governance, cloud security, information security program development, information risk management, security incident management, threat hunting, threat intelligence. In fact, let me just stop. He's an examiner. He conducts various cybersecurity certification exams, certified ethical hacker, certified information systems manager, certified network defender, and the list goes on. To save time, I just want to say that in 2023, he was awarded the best CISO in West Africa by Finovem. And in 2024, he was on top 10 of the Respect Award of the Global Information Security Professional of the Year. So you agree with me that this speaker, you need to listen to him. Zachariah, over to you.
All right, thank you, Isoma, for the nice welcoming, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm happy to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity given by the CSPSC. I appreciate the MDCU. I appreciate the organizer, Isioma Lawal, and Olayemin Epele, and host of others, right? So let me just quickly see if I can share my screen. Let me see. Let me share my. I need to share my screen, right? Trying to bring up my file, right? Okay, let me. I'm not sure if I can share the. Can you see my screen now?
No, not yet.
Okay. Or if the organizer can just share my slide, right?
Okay, that's fine. We
Okay.
can share for you.
Okay. So while the slide is coming up, so I'll be talking on the cybersecurity in a hyper-connected world. So we'll focus on what really matters, right? So cybersecurity in a hyper-connected world. So I will first explain what do we mean by hyper-connected world. As you all are aware, and we can this awareness session was made happen, and people join us from different parts of the world. So it doesn't really matter whether you're in Nigeria, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in the United States of America, and so wherever you are, we're able to make this thing happen because we are kind of connected. So the whole world is more or less like a global village. So today, you can reach out to somebody from the extreme end of the earth, even somebody stay or live in Antarctica, or maybe you have a friend in Australia, you can reach out to the person immediately, and also you can also get to see each other, feel each other, and all of that, right? You don't need to travel several days. So, and what make this happen? We have different gadgets, we have different devices that make it happen. So we're going to look at protecting what matters most. We're going to look at their digital security for individuals, for businesses, and also for government. So we are also so and yeah. So I think we can proceed right to the next slide, right? So why this matters a lot? From the first speaker, I like the way the first speaker do the illustration that about 85% of data breaches happen as a result of individual not doing what they're supposed to do, the human firewalling bit of it. So I will take it up from where it started, right? So if you look at what is happening based on the global statistic, and as at yesterday, and the statistics goes on, right? And so based on the global statistics, and it was estimated that by 2030, over 30 billion IoT devices are expected. What do we mean by IoT? IoT are Internet of Things. Like today, you can connect, you can track your health, maybe your health fitness via your phone, via your computer, using your wearables, right? So you can connect your home, and you can if somebody is trying, like some of us have a smart home, right? And also some of us try to install some smart devices, at home, that maybe you have some domestic worker, you want to monitor the activities, you want to monitor whether everything is fine, you want to be sure whether your kids are really okay, whether they are under control. You can monitor the activities from your phone. You can be watching a video, and also you can be giving instruction from your device if they feel that okay, the kids are maybe they're trying to do what they're not supposed to do. And also you can also monitor even if you have if you have a domestic worker, so that they can be checkmate that okay, somebody is watching them wherever whatever they are doing, they need to be. So this thing was made happen because today you can connect your home to the internet, right? So when if a visitor comes to visit you, you can decide whether, even though nobody's at home, you can unlock the door, you can from your phone. So what the statistic is telling us that by 2030, we're gonna be having about 30 billion IoT devices. IoT devices, not only if you have your smart home, that's an example of IoT devices. Even from a complete smart home, you can even control the level of consumption, your electricity consumption, and all of that. So, but today, what we use to at least wearables. Some of us have a wearables, some of us have a CCTV, some of us have some level of devices that are connected to the internet. Now, so that another thing is that AI enables both cyber offense and defense. AI is about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when we are talking about AI, it used to be like kind of a fiction. To me, it seems like a fiction that one day computer will be acting like a human being, computer will be making decisions like human being. But today, AI is not just a fiction, it's the reality, as we can all see, with the advent of AI, you can, especially when OpenAI launched ChatGPT, you can write an article, you can write a project. Like those days that if you want to write a project, you'll be spending some days in the library. But today with the ChatGPT, you can generate the idea of you can generate some idea, and this also get your book right within a few seconds. Although the academic world, they fan at it, and also they are discouraging people because that encourages laziness and all of that. And today we have more sophisticated phishing attack. The first speaker talk about how the bad guys can leverage on different kind of a social engineering attack. So because everybody is leveraging on AI. So as we're leveraging on AI to make that daily work easier, the bad guys are also leveraging on AI to also make their life so easy. So the cybersecurity is part of our daily life. So the same tools that we are using to make our life easier have also exposed us to a lot of attacks. So I'm gonna share that. So what do we go from here? Growing interdependency. We need to ensure that we need to depend on each other. We also need to ensure that we have a shared responsibility when it comes to protecting our interconnected devices, when it comes to protecting ourselves, when it comes to protecting our businesses, when it comes to protecting our community, when it comes to, and if you look at what happened some years back, and Iran, they have some set of nuclear reactors, like a kind of a set of some set of hackers detonate the nuclear reactors. They use a malware, and that was done remotely. And even the current war happening between Russia and Ukraine, there are a lot of sort of cyber security attacks there going there. Just imagine if you stay in a very maybe during the winter. During the winter can be very cold. In some places can be as cold as -10 degree, -5 degree. Just imagine if some set of hackers just determined to shut down the national grid. Everybody everybody will be put into serious. There will be serious lot of concern. Even in Nigeria, just imagine that as you're talking now, the national grid was shut down. It will affect everybody. It will affect the banking system. To affect even our connection here, right? Yeah. So it will affect our connection. We'll not be able to connect, and we'll not be able to, like what happened I think was it not last year, or I think sometimes last year, that some set of cable, optical fiber was cut, whether it was intentional somewhere in South Africa. So and virtually lot of companies were affected. Even the Nigerian banks interconnect. The internet connection was so bad that people cannot do transactions and all of that. So it was that bad in South Africa. So let's look at the understanding the hyper-connected ecosystem. So we can move to the next slide. So in the individual, we use smart homes, we use wearables, we use cloud storage. Whether you like it or not, some of us use cloud storage. Even if you have an email, whether you have a Gmail, whether you have a Yahoo email, whether you have maybe Outlook, whether you're using Office 365 in one way or the other, we leverage on we leverage on a sort of interconnectivity for us to be able to reach each other, right? And also, even for let's look at the business. So business collaborate a lot on the cloud. So we are having more of IoT-driven production, and in the government, so government are building smart cities. They are building critical infrastructures, and even with the society, like some estate provider, even in Lagos, in Abuja, they've started to build a smart home. They've started to build a smart, kind of a smart community, and a community that will be governed, that will be surrounded, by that you use the internet to make the connectivity easier. So every system is a part of fastware. Each connection expands the attack surface. In as much as we are leveraging on technology to make our life much easier, we are also open a door for the bad guys. Just imagine if you're living in a smart home, and some set of hackers just decide, to hack into the software, and they are ready to make the home accessible to everybody, virtually, and all of that. So it's much more easier for the attacker to hack into such a home, unlike the normal traditional home that you have a lot of defensive mechanism. You have gates, you have you have electric fencing, you have some of us have some animals like Rottweilers, so that in case if anybody come into the house uninvited, you just trigger the beast to attack or whoever that comes uninvited. But today, yeah, so it's making leveraging on technology is also making the bad guys to also be much more at peace when it comes to attack. Like the bank gonna do is that if a bank has to be attacked, group of maybe hundreds of people or maybe some number of people would come with truck. They might spend the up to 3, 4, 5 hours with different ammunition, and the chances of them being escape is slim. It's 50-50. It's either they are caught or they escape, and also they're also exposing themselves to danger. But today, and also the limit of what they can take, they can only rob as much as money that they can see physically have access to. But today, somebody can sit down somewhere in one remote island, maybe one Caribbean island, and they're attacking banks in Nigeria, and they also will be moving billions and billions. And before you say Jack Robinson, within a couple of seconds, some money left. If you look at what is happening, the banking system today, right? So what is making this attack to be so smooth? Because we are interconnected, and also the world is hyper connected, and also to trace this thing is much more difficult. Before you say Jack Robinson, they move the money out of from the banking system. But they move the money to the maybe Bitcoin chain or blockchain system. The money to be difficult for it to be able to trace that money, right? So that's what is happening in the world today. So let's look at the next slide. I'll be talking about the evolving threat landscape. Today, we now have a lot of IoT vulnerabilities because IoT devices, they are not like a normal devices. Just imagine your wearables. Just imagine the kind of operating system that installed on the operating system cannot be as sophisticated like the normal operating system you install on your computer or on your servers. So by default, all these IoT devices, they are very easy. They can easily be attacked. I've done some number of courses on ethical hacking, also done some number of training on ethical hacking. What I discovered for the past 3-4 years now, I've been teaching people on hacking, on how to defend the IoT and then the ICS or the industrial control system. I realized that this system are much more easier because the system are not built with the security in mind, and also the system has a limited software. So most of the system has updated software. They can easily be hacked. They can easily be, because they have the default system. So now today we are having more of AI power attacks. I will mention a kind of a scenario of what happened in one of the leading institution and last year in the United States. Somebody the organization decided to build to improve on their collaborative tools. They are using Microsoft Teams, and they try to ensure that they can easily leverage on the generative AI bundle that come with the Microsoft team. So they enabled that, and but there was a vulnerability in that their collaborative tool at the point in time, which they did not realize. So at the point in time, the CFO got a video call from the CEO, and so the CFO logged onto the video call. He saw the CEO was trying to tell the CFO that there was a case of emergency, that they need to carry out a particular transaction, and that transaction need to be carried out immediately. And the CEO gave the CFO instruction to move the money, certain amount of money, huge amount of money, by millions of dollars amount of money, to a certain designated account, which was provided during the video call. And CFO did that transaction almost immediately. Immediately did the transaction, so the video call didn't last long. It was just like a few minutes. The call ended, and he now sent a mail to let the CEO know that that transaction has been carried out successfully with some proof of concept with the receipt of a transaction. So when he sent the mail, the CEO was surprised at why, how, what do you mean? Did I have to carry out the transaction? How, the CEO was confused because the CEO did not instruct the CFO to carry out any transaction. CFO was confused too. So the CFO was like, you called for a meeting? You just had a video meeting, and lo and behold, they did some investigation. They now realized that the collaborative system had been compromised. Somebody actually, it was somebody else that was talking to the CFO, but what the CFO was saying the CEO, and the CEO was talking, and the person was talking in CEO voices, and the video was CEO voice, but it was something else. Just imagine me that is maybe another version of me that is talking to you, but I'm the real person anyway. You get what I'm saying? So what do that? So the attacker leverage on the deepfake technology to mimic the CEO video. So what the deepfake technology does, a couple of a video, they can get a couple of a video anywhere, whether on YouTube, whether on Facebook, or any social media, or whether on meeting like this. Somebody can cover your video, and they repurpose that video for their own use. They will just develop a script. It's very simple. They will write a script, and somebody will read in the script. And the script, they will ask the AI agent to be reading the script, and the script should be the voice should mimic my voice, to be exactly like my voice, and also to be the video look exactly like my video. So today is much more difficult. We are having a lot of cases of deepfake phishing attack, and also deepfake is getting much more serious. Somebody can mimic your voice, somebody can mimic your video, somebody can mimic, and also for the phishing email are getting more sophisticated because the bad guys leverage on automation. So today, phishing email, you cannot easily discover that a mail is phished by looking at the grammatical mistake, because if you use a ChatGPT to generate a phishing email, it will be so perfect. There won't be any grammatical mistake. There won't be any stuff. So it's getting much more sophisticated. So the bad guys are leveraging that. We have a lot of bot attack to overwhelm the system with the distributed denial of service. Then the supply chain breaches. We leverage on different third parties. Yes, I like what the CSS is doing today. Yes, but you might have done everything possible, train up your staff to do the needful, train up, build your processes, deploy the relevant technology to make yourself secure. But in as much as you are depending on the supply chain, on the vendors for certain tasks, but as we are here today, we depend on the social media to make this available. To make this presentation available, we depend on some collaborative to make this available. We still have some dependency on different different vendors. You can't really operate the business alone, and also all the technology will be yours. Definitely, you need to leverage on some technology, and if those technologies that are leveraging on maybe the software that you are using, if they are compromised, some attackers can come in through that way. Over some couple of years ago, I discovered some critical exploitable vulnerabilities in one of the top, in one of the about 3 top the technology providers, the big 5, and I was able to disclose, and they also accepted that the vulnerability exists, and they told me that the vulnerability to take them like for a period of 6 months for the vulnerability to be fixed, and it took them almost 6 months before they were able to fix the vulnerability. And the vulnerabilities, vulnerabilities affected other products worldwide. Just imagine if the bad guys got to know about that particular vulnerabilities, they can leverage on that vulnerabilities, and these particular vendors, they have millions of customers all over the world and all of that. So there is nothing when it comes to supply chain. These are the we are having more of supply chain breaches these days than even the breaches that will be as a result of the organization not doing what they're supposed to do. Then we're also having some critical infrastructure risk, and also we also have some. But the first speaker talk more about the private data privacy issue, privacy erosion, and data exploitation, and I also mentioned about that. Okay, 5% of the exploits are a result of data exploitation, are a result of people not doing what they're supposed to do. So criminal innovate as fast as technology. They understand the trend, and also we, as an individual, as a business, as a business group, we need to understand the trend so that we're able to adapt and also anticipate the attack. So let's look at the next line of so let's look at the next slide. So what do we do now that we know that this we know that as the landscape evolved? So what do we do? So let's go to the next slide. So we need to protect what matters as an individual. I think the first speaker mentioned that password alone is not sufficient. Enable your multi-factor authentication, MFA. Like your single sign-on. If you are if you have a social media, Instagram, Facebook, enable the WhatsApp, enable the multi-factor, because very easy for people to take over people's WhatsApp account. They will just play a phishing, maybe just do like kind of a phishing, send you a malicious link, or somebody will just call you up to cook. You know what? They belong to a particular group, blah, 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 blah. Can you enter whatever? So it's always good to leverage. Password alone is not sufficient. Leverage on a multi-factor authentication to secure your digital enterprise, your digital fortress. As an individual, as an organization, this needs to be enforced that whether the staff like it or not, they have to use strong password. And the multi-factor would be like kind of a second layer if your password is being hacked. So what it will take somebody to also take over your multi-factor. Maybe if you are using a hard token, so that means everybody need to steal that hard token, and that would be difficult. Or if you're having a soft token on your phone, that means that somebody to get hold of your phone or your device and also get your password. At least that would be like kind of additional layer of control. Keep device up to date. Make sure that you are running on the updated devices. Make sure that the software on your devices are up to date, because there are malwares. There are some out of the software that are vulnerable to remote code execution, that are vulnerable to all sort of vulnerabilities. So make sure that you install the software on your phone. You have the latest operating system. Last 2 weeks, I think October 14, I think Microsoft released a stuff that their Windows 10 has reached this end of life. So that means that anybody that's still using Windows 10, you are at your own risk. On organization that are using, because Microsoft has said that they are not releasing patch again. They are no longer supporting. So make sure that the system they're using, the device that you're using are up to date. Keep your device up to date. Manage application permission carefully. So many of us, whenever we see different kind of a software, you just be download, click, just click on next, and so you need to be careful about the kind of application that you install on your device, on your phone, and also you can also manage the settings. From the setting you can decide not to install some certain kind of application. You can open some application can be installed silently without you knowing it. Somebody can send you a link, and then if you click on the link, to just installing an application. So you need to, very important that you adjust the settings of the device so that an rogue application will not be installed on your phone. Then you also need to be able to know how to spot phishing and social engineering, because you need to sharpen your skill set when it comes to phishing. And how do you do this? And you need to to understand this trend. You need to understand what is social engineering. You need to understand what is deep phishing. So that somebody will not play the deep phishing attack on you. So somebody will not just so even if somebody called you and request for some personal details, verify, make sure that you're sure that the person that is talking to you. Use another channel. If somebody call you on WhatsApp or somebody was chatting you on WhatsApp that okay, you need some stuff from you, use another channel that you can reach out to him, maybe via direct phone call and all of that. So you need to be able to stop phishing and also social engineering, whether those guys are leveraging on the deepfake technology or not. So the next slide. So how do you protect? That's how to protect yourself as an individual. Yeah. So but for the business need to implement what we call ZTA. ZTA is like a zero trust architecture. Never trust. Don't always verify. Do not trust any connection. Do not trust any entity. Do not trust any entity, maybe any API call, any form of connection, any form of even if that trust has been established initially, maybe somebody, an entity has authorized, it's possible that that entity session has been taken over. You need to continuously verify to be sure that okay, the zero trust architecture is implemented, and also to be sure that the person that is talking to you is that right person. It's not another version of that person, right? So the vendor risk management, you need to take the relationship between our management, the way we relate with the vendor. We need to ensure that we have a robust vendor risk management. We have we can have like kind of some clause to audit them, and we should put in place also some liabilities if you are leveraging on third party for certain operations. So you also need to let them know that if there's an exposure, they need to be responsible. The SLA, and also we also need to ensure that okay, they are compliant to the required regulation like PCI, regulation like GDPR, regulation like regulation like regulation like SOC 2, different kind of regulation. Make sure that they are compliant with different regulations that your organization need for you to say in business. Because if you comply and your vendor did not comply and you get breached, via the vendor, that can also expose the organization. Like, so then you need to also leverage on AI-driven defense system, because if the bad guys are leveraging on AI and you are leveraging on a traditional system, your system will be overwhelmed. You need to upgrade to AI-driven system. Your firewall need to be a next generation firewall. Your SIEM, don't be using the archaic SIEM. You need to leverage, upgrade to next generation firewall. SIEM that has the user behavior and analytics. SIEM that have data analytics that are very rich in data analytics, and SIEM that has a lot of AI plugins or possible AI agent that can correlate that can do the work of tier 1 SOC analysts, so that the work of 10 people can be done with by 1 or 2 to the staff, right? Then another thing that need to be done by the business, need to encourage cybersecurity training, like what we are doing today, a form of awareness for the general public, the form of awareness for the general customers, right? And also as an organization, they need to upgrade our cybersecurity training, and we also need to have a different level of training for different job functions. Then, for example, somebody that is a developer need to undergo like kind of a secure coding training. Somebody that is a DevOps engineer or system administrator need to undergo some training on network defense or system defense and all of that. Even the management, the board need to undergo certain awareness session so that they will understand the roles and responsibility. I like the way the MD started that, okay, cybersecurity is no longer a technology issue, it's a business issue, because if the business gets compromised, if the technology of that the business are using gets compromised, it's going to affect the reputation of this business. It's going to create business lead to business disruption, and also to lead to to perception. For example, the customer might not trust the technology that you are using and all of that, and it might also lead to some customer defecting from the business, right? So it's everybody's responsibility. So next slide, please. So what do you do as a government? Protecting what matters as a government? There is a need for us to have a national cybersecurity framework. That's why I love what the NigerSat are doing, and they're not just building a kind of a global a national technology. They also have the site staff, people that also that we have different framework, and also the NIDA are doing something. Also the CBN also develop like kind of a CBN cybersecurity framework to the kind of framework that will help different financial organizations, you know, and this framework are based on the best best practices, right, and all of that. So that's so then protecting critical infrastructure. What are the critical infrastructure? The national grid, even the internet, the Nigeria internet need to be protected, and also there are IPs, and so that to ensure that certain like for example in some countries there's some certain technology that they do not allow within their territory, like technology, because here in Nigeria we use a lot of technology. We don't verify. I think we need to step up again to now to not every technology we need to have like kind of a national maybe a security agency, cybersecurity agency that verify the different technology that we're using, that we verify the IPs, communication, also to be we verify what's going on and all of that. They also need to have a public-private partnership. Yes, public and private are not just enforced. Maybe an institution whereby the government will partner. If you look at what's happening in the United States, government partner with all the big tech companies, partner with Microsoft, partner with Oracle. Even if they want to carry out some forensic investigation, they can summon Microsoft. You know what? Can you give us an access to this, this, right? Yeah. So they also need to have a global cybersecurity diplomacy. So next, I'll be wrapping up in a next couple of minutes. So the next, so how do you look at the at this? So we've talked about what needs to be done as an NVIDIA, as a business, and even as a national body. So we need to look at the AI as a double-edged sword. So AI can be used for both offensive operation and can also be used for both defensive operation. We need to leverage on AI for predictive threat intelligence. AI is very rich in the data analytics. You know, you can leverage on that, and also look at the ethical AI and governance, because generally, because if you don't have the kind of good ethical AI and governance in place, the AI can be misused by a different person. So, so to build a resilient digital future, you need to focus on resilience over prevention. So what do I mean by this? Resilient means that you continually be under attack, but what do you do in order to ward off the attack, in order to be able to stand even if that you are being attacked? Then you need to have a continuous monitoring and response. You need to have a continuous cyber awareness culture. You also need to ensure that to know that cybersecurity is a responsibility of everybody. You need to cut it at a shared responsibility. Next slide, please. So for our closing remarks, if you look at what is happening today, we have a lot of hyper-connected devices, and that we are living in a hyper-connected world. What we protect define what we become. So we need to be very conscious. You need to have a deliberate effort about protecting our digital enterprise, about protecting our interconnected world. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's when I said award winning, I was not joking. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, so we'll go for the next speaker. Our next speaker is going to be speaking on global threats, local impacts, the enterprise risk strategies for a connected world. And our speaker is John Hamlet. John is a professional and dedicated security practitioner with over 20 years of experience in information and cybersecurity practice and consultation across multiple disciplines. His experience cuts across South Africa, Africa, Europe, Middle East, USA. He's the Chief Revenue Officer and Vice President of Sales for CyberSoc Africa. And he regularly speaks at conferences. So it shows you will get a wealth of his experience in a few minutes. John, please go ahead.
Thank you, Isioma, and thank you very much to everyone that's joined. Thank you to CSCS for inviting me to speak today, and I hope that we collectively learn something from this session. Let me just share my presentation deck. And move that. Please confirm that you can see my screen, Isioma. Great. Right, so as you've stated, I'll be speaking about global threats, local impact, and specifically enterprise risk strategies for a connected world. Just a quick note who CyberSoc is. We're a partner to CSCS. We assist them with some of their cybersecurity requirements. We were founded in 2016. We've got over 80 cybersecurity experts. We focus on SOC as a service, but we do additional capabilities for both private and public sector. We run 24/7 operations, and we also do financial crime prevention, fraud prevention, GRC, and data privacy and protection services. So to get straight into it, since I've got a limited amount of time, I think 15 minutes, let me talk about global threats and local impact and really understand how interconnected risks start amplifying local vulnerabilities. So, as humans, as the previous speaker said, Zechariah said, we are generally the weakest link, okay? Now, what that means is we are usually myopic when it comes to perceived challenges and risks, right? We tend to focus on what we see, what we hear, and what we're informed of. And because we lack perspective at a global scale, or we are fed a biased view, we generally do not trust the implied impact of that risks or those risks to ourselves or our organizations. We tend to downplay it, stating, no, not me, or if it happens, we'll deal with it. And especially for those that submit budgets, if it costs us money to mitigate those risks proactively, well, then, generally the executive don't want to hear about it, or we need to prioritize elsewhere. And so this is true folly, right? So as risk mitigation and management should be perceived from our organizational view, we have to encompass all risks, both near and far, when they're taken into account, regardless of whether those are self-imposed restrictions or views. Now, where we've got a world that is truly interconnected, okay, the proverbial butterfly effect within the technology sphere can have significant impact to our operations. And likewise, our enterprise resilience, okay? Should we not heed those global threats as local risks or direct? So what happens is essentially global interconnectivity means that the scale and speed of cyber incidents is amplified and significantly, right? So wire speed was something that moved from analog through to digital. We had 64K connections, going up to 128K to 2 megabit per second to 100 megabit to gigabit per second, at local level. That kind of bandwidth and availability, driving many various different digital transformation programs within organizations, not just in the private sector, but also the public sector, means that data can reach from one side of the world to the other side in less than a second, okay? So that means that those threats and risks obviously can propagate at global connectivity rates. What does that mean? I'm sure you've heard the term, global village. Well, it essentially means that everything is local. Okay. If you've got a global threat somewhere, you need to treat it as a local threat. Okay. So that essentially means that local operations will face downstream impacts from international vulnerabilities, international incidents that occur. If you are connected and to any of those people that have been targeted, that have been breached or compromised, etc., you need to see that as a risk to yourself. So often that top-down view risk is not extended to a global reach. Okay, we look at, like I said, everything myopic. We look at what's in our own wheelhouse, and we kind of either don't have the bandwidth, the time, or the energy to look at things at a global level, and that we need to expand our mindsets to do that. So let me give you an example, right? I think it was 2 years ago, CrowdStrike had a major issue, right? Microsoft released a patch. CrowdStrike had also done an update, and I think at least 100 out of the top 500 global companies and many local organizations across Africa, speaking regionally, and many in Nigeria were impacted because the EDR technology that they had on their desktops essentially caused the local operating system to crash, blue screens, etc. Now, that had direct impacts to business operations. It had massive global impact on revenue. I mean, CSCS runs in markets, right? So that wasn't necessarily a direct cybersecurity impact to them. It wasn't necessarily a third-party impact to them, but certainly it had an impact on their ability to manage the markets and certificates, issue those, etc. So in times of chaos, if you are not prepared, then that risk will impact you. Whether you are able to visualize that and process what that risk is and then eventually mitigate it will depend very much on your ability to implement your own strategies in place. Okay, so there's many different emerging risks, whether they're cross-border regulations, whether it's data privacy mandates, NDPR, GDPR, POPIA in South Africa, KDPA in Kenya, global standards like SOC 3, SOC 2, ISO 27701. Many of those come into play. Okay, as an example, GDPR, 10% of your global organizational revenue is a fine if you're breaching that. Not many companies take that into account. They say, well, are you GDPR compliant? Do they actually understand that risk? Have they understood what it will do to their business if they are impacted? Even from a reputational perspective, are they taking that into account? Although reputation nowadays is a lot less impactful than regulatory statutes. Okay, so essentially enterprise resilience, and what we're looking at here in terms of the graphic is that enterprise resilience needs to take all of those risks into place. So whether they're cybersecurity risks, whether they're compliance risks, whether they're supply chain risks, right? Enterprise resilience which is the overall ability of an organization to not only survive a crisis, but to also anticipate and respond to and adapt to those disruptive forces, right? While we often confuse that with business continuity, keeping the lights on, really, okay? Ultimately, whether it's a power outage, or whether it's a critical operations interruption or something along those lines, resilience becomes more proactive versus reactive, okay? And it's a strategic mindset that is embedded, right, into your organization. It maintains adaptability and agility across not only the company's systems from a technology perspective, but also culture. And like Zechariah was talking about earlier, you really need to be able to scale up. And I think the previous speaker, Daniel, was speaking about the human firewall. We cannot have human beings left out of the picture when it comes to identifying risks and being able to mitigate those. So, a lot of what they were saying were absolutely true, and it's certainly overlaid in my presentation too. Okay, so that global interconnectivity again creates significant opportunities for organizations to expand, right? You look at not just local digital transformation, but global digital transformation of top companies, smaller companies then breaching those borders and becoming digital. You look at the number of fintechs, for example, in Nigeria that grow literally overnight. There's some really good examples of how cross-border operations come into play. But the reliance on third-party vendors, generally becomes exponentially increased. And with that increase means that you've expanded your external attack surface significantly. Not only that, but you also expose yourself to more and more regulatory scrutiny, and thus the compliance burden becomes higher. Okay, so meaning you need to have very proactive management across all of these domains in order to protect that, right? And to stop a cascade from global through to local. Now, if we talk about some of the top threats in an interconnected world, I mean, Zechariah was speaking about cybersecurity, AI-powered attacks, absolutely. Ransomware and extortion, still a staple of incidents that happen on a almost daily basis across the world. Supply chain attacks, these are really becoming more and more prevalent, and they're actually becoming a lot more effective as a vector for attackers to not only breach your organization, but to defraud you and do other things. And the reason for that is trust. Okay, we as individuals need to trust. It's part of our makeup. It's part of human social engagement. It's part of the way that we bring ourselves up in terms of the family unit and extended family and work colleagues, etc. We have to have a level of trust because it gives us hope, right? Now, I'm not going to go into the psychology of it, but because we need to trust, we want to trust. And because we want to trust, we often don't verify. We often don't question, if you like, whether someone that is supplying a service or someone that is, trying to engage with us is actually trustworthy. Same thing when we hire staff, right? And Zechariah was talking about inside threat, and so was Daniel. This is another thing that is one of those top threats in terms of cybersecurity. Again, cloud and identity compromise is another threat, and IoT vulnerabilities, as Zechariah mentioned. But outside of just the cybersecurity side, right, which costs a lot of money and a lot of effort to take into account, we've also got the compliance aspect. So data privacy, data residency, in an interconnected world where you've got many cloud services coming into play, and governments want to make sure that the critical information of the businesses and the country remain inside the country's boundaries, that can be a massive challenge, right? And if you are going to have, secret, private, confidential data, citizen data, whatever it might be, out in the cloud environment, then it's going to cost you a lot more money to encrypt that, and to encrypt it in real time, decrypt it, deprotect it in real time, maintain the format and things like that. There's significant money attached to those types of things. ESG is another aspect. It's another compliance risk that seems to be still holding on in today's world. I think one German supply chain act holds companies accountable for human rights and environmental violations, right? So it's not just at the organizational level, it's at the supply chain level. If your entire supply chain doesn't comply with ESG regulations and it affects you, then regardless of whether you are compliant or not, you may still be held liable because of that entire chain. Sanctions, trade restrictions, we look at, just on the FAFT, the financial action, Financial Action Task Force. Nigeria and South Africa last year were both grey listed. I think South Africa now was taken off the grey list, or just 2 years ago. South Africa this last week was taken off the grey list, but we had significant impact from our operations, cross-border operations, for every single company that did that. I've got personal friends that were impacted, not losing contracts because they weren't able to make payments in time because it was sitting with the Reserve Bank, through no fault of their own. Regulatory misalignment again. So you've got multiple jurisdictions, you've got multiple policies, you've got companies' internal standards that don't align with all of those types of things. So as we look at the globalization of our business and services and things like that, we have to take into account that these compliance risks comes into effect. Okay, supply chain risks, as I've stated, most of the time you may have, let's say, 30 direct or 10 direct vendors that are connecting, but do you understand who they rely on, who the multi-tier dependencies are? And a lot of us don't have good visibility of not just their direct tier, but lack insights into those subcontractors. Now, you can try and legal everything and protect yourself through contracting, but where you don't have good understanding of the operations, their own operational risks, their own cybersecurity risks, their own compliance failures, etc., it means that those can very quickly stack up and impact you with very little warning and significant impact. Okay. Things like your geopolitical and economic instability. I mean, you look at 2025, 2026, the number of local elections that are going to be happening in Africa. Now, we all know what happens with elections, in electioneering and things like this. Well, that can have a direct impact onto your business as well. The change in the regulators, director or governor, as an example, can have serious consequences on the economy, on your business, and the way that you handle that. Nigeria is a perfect example, and we see it, being charging in Naira and having US costs, US dollar-based costs is a nightmare at the best of times, right? And then you've got things like your technological failure that can also do that. So what I'm trying to say is that, essentially, whether it's global or whether it's local, this interconnectivity is really exacerbating the risks significantly, okay? And we need to be aware of it, and we need to have strategies in place. So I'm going to talk about those strategies quickly, because I think I'm limited now on the amount of time. I've only got about 5 minutes left. So number one, if we talk about cybersecurity, we have to implement a very unified threat intelligence and adaptive defense system, both from a technology perspective, from a people perspective, and a process perspective. From a compliance level, we really need to harmonize against global frameworks. The reason that those frameworks are there, things like ISO, NIST, your privacy regulations like GDPR, your local laws, etc., they exist because they give you a better platform where your basics are covered. And Isioma was talking about it earlier, that you need to cover your basics. Have an antivirus installed on your smartphone, okay? Patch your system. Zachariah was talking about keep your operating systems up to date, keep your applications up to date. Have the basics in place. And these global frameworks give you the tools to facilitate a baseline that you can grow on, okay? You can mature yourself from a cybersecurity perspective. From a supply chain risk management perspective, you really need to be able to map your third-party dependencies, not just who you depend on, but who they depend on, okay? And through that, you need to establish zero trust relationships. Now, when I say zero trust relationships, zero trust is not a new concept. It's actually been around for about 20 years, right? It just wasn't called zero trust. But it is, you've heard the term, trust but verify. It's exactly the same thing. Now, that doesn't just speak to technological aspects and systems, like multi-factor authentication, for example, or in Microsoft, conditional access policies and things like this. It also relates to relationships. It can relate to employee relationships. It can relate to supplier relationships. It can relate to legal relationships. You need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, because hope isn't a strategy. Okay, so if you are prepared, you're not going to have too much of an issue. One big issue that I do see, and I consult with many organizations on a daily basis, various different industries, whether they are in the private sector or whether it's government and across the board, is risk management, okay? Integrated risk management. You need to have something that is not just manual. You need to have a programmatic approach to integrated risk management across all of your silos, whether it's enterprise risk management or organizational risk management, auditing, compliance, third-party risk management, IT and security risk management. Have a system that allows you to automate a lot of those processes, okay? To not rely on the weakest link, which is the human, not allow for interpretation because of bias, and make sure that you incorporate business continuity into that so that your resilience, your enterprise resilience really comes to bear, okay? Across all of your functions, and you can do proactive detection of your risks across all of those silos. What the outcome of that really means is that you can provide yourself local stability in a globally aware, risk-informed environment, okay? Remember, you can do nothing without understanding what you have and what it is dependent on, whether it's systems, services, human resources, suppliers, the current state of your resilience, of your organizational resilience, your cybersecurity resilience, your current state of compliance, etc. Right? You don't know what you don't know. You also don't know what you don't test, meaning have proactive access to information concerning risks around your environment, threats around your environment, and your suppliers and your operations. Understand what your lane is. Understand those that are keeping you buoyant and those that are swimming side by side with you. Okay. Things like cybersecurity intelligence, right? Proactive, not reactive, proactive. Risk registers, auditing and assessments. These need to be programmatic, okay? What do I mean by programmatic? It's not a project. You're not buying a technology, installing it, putting it to greenfields, doing base configurations of policies and then leaving it, okay? Programmatic means it becomes cultural, becomes something that's in use every single day, and that becomes a part of the fabric of your organization, part of how you deliver services. And cybersecurity, as an example, needs to be part of that, okay? Not a point-in-time view like a vulnerability assessment or a penetration test, that gives you a view and then no action is taken. Another point here is that have an executive mandate. And this is what I appreciate about, for example, CSCS getting so involved in things like cybersecurity, right? Haruna understands the impact of cybersecurity, and so there's an executive mandate for the rest of the organization, not just the IT team, not just the compliance team, etc. Everyone is involved because cybersecurity is a business risk. It's not just an IT risk. So having that executive mandate to effect real change in the organization to ensure that resiliency that you need must be done in a proactive manner. And then combining, your people, process, and technology in that programmatic approach really comes into play. So I think I'm going to stop there. I'm 23 minutes, so thank you for the extra couple of minutes, Isioma, and thank you to everyone for joining.
Thank you very much. Wow, this has been such an enlightening session. Thank you. So we have some questions that we like, but because of time, we'll just take one question each. We're going to take more than that, but we'll just take one question. And also to our audience, we're going to send you a feedback session, a link, so that you just click and give us your feedback on this, what you've learned today. And we're also going to do a poll, so you can win prizes. There's going to be more than one winner, and we announce it at the end of the webinar. Okay, so while we get the poll ready, let's just ask questions that we have for the speaker. So the first one in the Q&A section, we noticed people have been helping to answer these questions. We have the cyber warriors here who have been attending to your questions for those that have asked some questions. But there's one here that is particularly directed to Zachariah. So let me just go to him straight. As a security enthusiast, sometimes I'm tempted to ask, between digital innovation and cyber threats, which precedes the other? I don't know, Zachariah, can you see the question? Do you understand it? You're muted.
Okay, can you read the question again?
All right, so his person is asking, Tega Adejaro is asking, as a cybersecurity enthusiast, sometimes I'm tempted to ask, between digital innovation and cybersecurity threats, which precedes the other? Study shows that innovation takes a considerable amount of time to hit the market, but almost immediately we hear of a competing force, that is referring to cyber threats, that threatens to deprive global users from harnessing the full values of such innovations.
Okay.
That such innovations can bring to business. So quite a long question.
Okay, all right. So thank you for that. So yeah, if you look at what is going on, innovation comes first. So as we are innovating, so the cyber, the tech actors, let me call them the tech actors, they are also leveraging the innovation to improve on what they do, right? So I would rather say innovation comes first. So that's why, as a cybersecurity professionals, you need to understand the technology in and out. You need to be at least a step ahead of the cyber criminals. So we need to understand. I'm going to be the cybersecurity professional, so we can't shy away from the innovation. You know? So innovation comes first, and then the threat actors also try to leverage on innovation to improve on what they do. Right. I don't know if I've answered your question right there.
Yes, I think you have.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this next question is for Mr. Daniel. So they're asking that you shared some eye-opening statistics about breaches linked to human elements. So what do you think drives this pattern globally?
Okay, so, sorry, let me take the question again.
Okay, it stated here that you have shared some eye-opening statistics about breaches linked to human elements. I think you mentioned that 85% of breaches are human elements. So they're asking, what do you think drives this pattern globally? Is that people refuse to learn? With all the awareness and webinars, why do we have this 85%?
Okay, so what is behind it is because for somebody globally, if a threat actor that is in Russia cannot physically be present in Nigeria, and a threat actor in China cannot be physically present in South Africa, but they need to devise a means to be able to reach, a network or an infrastructure located in areas of target. And to get there, they usually leverage on human, they try to manipulate human being to be able to take certain actions, that will allow them to get access, unauthorized access to those infrastructure. And that is why they employ, method like social media, that is social engineering or phishing attacks. Because what they do is that they send whatever malware they want to deploy, they can't send it through DHL. They have to send it through a channel. And some of it are through phishing emails, whereby links are embedded in those emails. And then when you click on it, you download the malware into your devices. And some of them are just, can be a form of a drive-by download, whereby you just visit a malicious link, click on it, you don't even need to do anything, and then you see that your system is already compromised. So there must be a way to deliver it, and they capitalize on human vulnerability, because of course, if people now that people are becoming aware, even some that are even aware, still try to still fall victim of this kind of attacks. And we have seen it over time that people you think that they know about these things, even the CEOs of organizations are also part of the most vulnerable, that they know of these things too, but they still take, so imagine, whereby I've had an instance whereby a top, let me say a director was also involved in this kind of WhatsApp hacking. He knows, he lectures people on this, how to protect your WhatsApp. And then, unfortunately, he received a code, and that code was to say, okay, you have a presentation somewhere. And so for us to confirm your availability, we'll send you a code. And then when you receive the code, send it back. We'll know that you are ready to present in that event. Of course, the person that knows, that you think we know this kind of tactics, sent back the code, even though he failed to admit it. But of course, you know that he actually sent it before they took over his WhatsApp. So people, is an easy way to get to people. So globally, we see these kind of things, across board. So I think it's not because people are not aware, but of course, the cyber threat actors keep advancing their tactics. And so also that is why we also encourage that training like this should also continue. Staff awareness should not be something that is done once. It should be something that is continuous, as we need to monitor the trends and need to look out for these new tactics, because they continue to grow in sophistication. The more you identify one tactics, they have to advance to look for another tactics. So we need to continue to train, not just to say that you are aware, but you will continue to learn the new tactics that are evolving, because cyber attack keep evolving. So human being, the human firewall, will continue to evolve in terms of knowledge, in terms of ability to take responsibility and be vigilant. And I like that keyword. You have to be vigilant. You have to, anything before you take any action, first be suspicious of anything you receive from the internet before you take any action. I don't know if I'm able to answer the question. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure you have answered. Thank you, and I totally agree with you. Okay, so let's give John Hamless a chance to answer at least the question. Though there was something on the chat that talked about he's not aware of, but I think you've answered that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Tunde, yeah, I wasn't aware that Nigeria had been taken off the grey list. Thank you for confirming that. I was aware that the committee was meeting, and I knew the outcome of South Africa, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's take the question for John. Someone is asking here, how do we protect our business from global risks that can quickly affect us locally?
Firstly, I think you need to understand, what you're exposed to, right? What your interconnects actually are. So if you're a business that is an online e-commerce site and you're providing, clothing globally, then understand what is going to be connecting yourself to those global people. Is logistics an issue for you? Is your website security and an issue for you? So where the dependencies of your organization first, not just on internal systems, but then external, right? So are you putting in things like resiliency in your environment? Are you running your infrastructure on the cloud? Your interconnecting systems into your supply chain logistics, for example, have you taken that into account? Are you looking at global weather patterns if you are shipping, right? Using shipping containers, and how far in advance are you doing that when you are contracting your the actual ships and the space on those ships and availability in order to keep your costs down. It's not just from a cybersecurity perspective. You really need to look at risk management at an enterprise or organizational level. The processes that you have in place must underpin the mitigation of those risks, right? And then what's left in terms of the not the inherent risk, but the mitigated risk level that you have, you either need to accept that or invest more in order to mitigate more, or combine additional strategies in place in order to do that, or outsource your risk depending on what you need to do. So again, at the global level, really understand what your interconnectivity is, right? Your primary interconnectivity, your secondary interconnectivity, and your tertiary. At least 3 levels deep is what I would do and what we definitely do as an organization. And once you've done that, then start looking at your people, process, and technology across every single service that you have, right? External available services, internal available services, run a risk register, run a technology, something like Archer IRM is a really fantastic technology that helps you automate your risk management across the business, gives exceptional visibility at each level, whether it's board, executive, management, mid-management, or operational tiers for everyone in the business, and allows you to not just have that visibility, but also to audit yourself. Okay. So I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I had a very interesting time. Thank you to our speakers. So this is the time most people have been waiting for, well, many people, time to win your prizes. Can we have the poll launched? After this quiz, we'll have another poll. While we're getting the answers, we'll have another poll for feedback session. Fastest fingers, please, quickly, fastest fingers. And the poll will be up for just 3 minutes because there are just a few questions. Just 6 questions, 3 minutes, fastest fingers. As I said, right after this poll, we're going to have a feedback session while we gather the results of the poll, because I want to announce the winners immediately. No INEC in this one. They are doing it. Immediate answers.
Isioma, while they're doing the poll, do you mind if, I know people have been asking for our contact details.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just bring those up as one slide?
All right, sure. Please go ahead.
Thank you.
If you're also looking for contacts of the other speakers, just go to their LinkedIn profile and get it. So. All right, and that's the contact. Can somebody just put it in the chat so that everyone can get it?
I did. It is in the chat. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So that's fine. So
I'll stop sharing.
And then you can always rewatch on YouTube. You can get it from there as well. Okay, that's enough for the poll. Thank you very much. Now we could just have a poll for feedback session. Kindly share. Our quiz is still up. It's only six questions. All right, thank you. Can we have the feedback session sent to everyone? And please, okay, that's the feedback form. Please click it and fill while we're waiting for the results of the poll. All right, while we're waiting for the speakers, we can take the vote of thanks. So after our executive director has given the vote of thanks, please hold on. Let's announce the winner of the poll. So that will save time. Thank you. Edie, over to you.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. Isioma, good afternoon and well done. You've been coordinating this webinar successfully so far. Very well done indeed. I can see another assignment we'll continue to give you. Go forward. Okay, so my assignment is quite easy here, just to say thank you to everybody. So on behalf of the Central Securities Clearance System and our partners at the Office of the National Security Advisor, I want to express our sincere appreciation to all our speakers and participants for making today's webinar a success. The conversations we have had today reinforce a simple but powerful truth, which is that cybersecurity is not a destination. It is a shared and continuous journey. In an era where our world is increasingly digital and interconnected, the responsibility to protect our systems, data, and people lies with each and every one of us, as individuals, institutions, and as a nation. At CSCS, we remain unwavering in our commitment to advancing cybersecurity excellence within the capital market and across the broader financial ecosystem. We believe collaboration, awareness, and innovation are the cornerstones of resilience, and today's dialogue has once again demonstrated the value of collective action. Well, a special thank you must go to our board of directors and our MD CEO, Mr. Haruna Jallow Waziri, for his continued drive and visionary leadership in championing cybersecurity awareness and resilience, not just within CSCS, but across the capital market. His passion for innovation and security continues to inspire our collective efforts. Also, we must thank the Office of the National Security Advisor for agreeing to continue to partner with us at CSCS on cybersecurity awareness. We are grateful and we continue to cherish that partnership. To our esteemed speakers today, Mr. Daniel Oyekpese from the National Cybersecurity Coordination Center at the Office of the ONSA, Mr. Akipelu Zachariah, the CISO at Unity Bank, and Mr. John Hamlet from CyberSoc. Thank you for sharing your deep insights and perspectives with us today. And to our moderator, again, Isioma Alawa, thank you for skillfully steering the conversation, and to the entire team at CSCS that coordinated this event, thank you for your success. To our external guests who joined us all today, we thank you all for joining. As we close this webinar and round up Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we at CSCS encourage everyone to take today's learnings back to their teams and networks. Let's continue to build a culture of security, vigilance, and partnership, because truly, to secure our world, we must all play our part of being safe defenders of our personal and institutional information, as well as our awareness on global threats and local impacts. Thank you once again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at future CSCS cybersecurity engagements. Stay safe, stay secure, and have a great day ahead. Thank you. Isioma, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So I'm just checking back with our internal INEC. The result has not come out. So
we have a new INEC chairman, so maybe that's
yeah, maybe we need our own INEC chairman. I'm still checking with the team. They haven't posted the winners yet. Okay, winners, I promise you, we will contact you. We have your email address because you registered for the webinar. We will contact you. That's a personal promise. Thank you, everyone. It was such a great time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to our management and board. Very grateful. I will bring this webinar to a close. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.